Disclaimer: this video is highly likely to contain spoilers for all 3 entries in the XENOBLADE Chronicles series. You have been warned. What is up everybody, I hope you're all good. My name is Peter and welcome to another episode of Creating a Fighter's Pass, the show where I take 6 characters belonging to a specific developer or franchise and put them in an imaginary Fighter's Pass for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. While I have already done an episode focusing on Sega characters, I thought I'd expand it to include characters from specific series of games to give you more ideas for future videos. For this one, I have decided to go with XENOBLADE Chronicles, one of my personal favourites out there. A beloved series of open-world JRPGs developed by Monolith Soft and published under Nintendo's name, this series has seen an increase in popularity over the last decade, from fans campaigning to see a worldwide release outside of Japan back in 2010, to a 2017 sequel becoming a million seller on the Switch. It sure has come a long way, and because of this, I think it makes perfect sense to talk about characters belonging to this rising star of an RPG that has the potential to keep our Monado boy SHULK company in the world of Smash, seeing as the series is full of characters that would fit the mold of Smash really well. This list will include characters from all titles under the XENOBLADE Chronicles name, including the Wii Original and its Definitive Edition on Switch, XENOBLADE Chronicles X on the Wii U, and XENOBLADE Chronicles 2 and its TORNA the Golden Country expansion, both on Switch. Keep in mind that this won't include Xenogears or Xenosaga, as I am not particularly familiar with those titles, so apologies to those that I may have disappointed as a result. So, with that out of the way, let's get into this. This is the Fighter's Pass, XENOBLADE Chronicles Edition. The first character I'd like to get out of the way is probably the most obvious choice and the one that's pretty much on most people's minds when it comes to the Smash speculation scene as a whole, and that is none other than Xenoblade 2's protagonist Rex, paired with the legendary Aegis Pyra. You could argue that the most popular Xenoblade choice is actually somebody else, but we'll get to them later on in the video, as I just wanted to get my personal bias over and done with so that I'm not constantly repeating myself at this point. I've already made a separate video where I speculate the nature of Rex and Pyra's chances ever since the ARMS announcement in more detail, which you can check out after this video if there's any chance you're interested in hearing what I have to say. But now that Min Min has been confirmed and added to Smash since, I think my case has potentially become stronger after these events. This is because prior to Min Min's inclusion, she was already represented as a spirit, just like Rex and Pyra, and since her inclusion has shown that pre-existing spirits could still become playable later on down the line, this has increased mine and many fans' hopes for the driver over the Aegis to get his chance once and for all. Rex and Pyra are by far my most wanted characters to join Smash, not just within the Xenoblade franchise, but out of all characters as a whole, but I feel like I've gone over why this is the case several times on this channel already, so why not move on to some other choices that I'd also be up for. The next character I wanted to talk about is a fan favourite from the original Xenoblade, and one of my personal favourites too, and that is none other than Melia Antiqua of the High End tier. I could actually visualise a unique mechanic revolving around the summon elements that Melia uses as part of her playstyle, where summoning one will enhance certain stats, then using an elemental discharge deals a certain attack while also removing said buffs afterwards. This would be faithful to how Melia plays in the source material, as a lot of the strategy revolves around keeping the buffs for a while, then discarding them in favour of a powerful attack, and will be a different spin on Shulk's Monado arts, which have a fixed time limit instead. For example, do you want to take advantage of physical strength by using Summon Flare and keeping it that way, or would you rather deal burn damage by discharging it right away? This moveset would allow all sorts of strategy as you try to master each summon element's buffs and discharges. I think if another character from the first Xenoblade were to be included, then I think Melia would make the most sense. She has a unique mechanic going for her that could get translated into Smash rather effectively, as I've mentioned earlier, and she also plays the role of Deuteragonist in the bonus Future Connected epilogue story featured in the Definitive Edition, putting emphasis on her importance in the game story in general. Just as a quick heads up, this next entry concerns the 7th party member that you recruit in the original Xenoblade. I know I've already put a warning screen at the start of the video, but I really mean it for this next one. There should be a timestamp on the screen which you can skip to if you don't want to get spoiled. With that out of the way, let's get on with it. Another character from the first Xenoblade that I think would also make a lot of sense would have to be Shulk's childhood friend and Dunban's little sister FIORA. The reason why I say this is because FIORA has made appearances in other titles outside of Xenoblade 1, such as being an unlockable Rare Blade as part of Xenoblade 2's DLC, being the only other character from the original to do so besides SHULK himself. FIORA also appears in the 3DS crossover tactical RPG Project Cross Zone 2, where, besides featuring Metal Face and a few Mechon as enemy units, she is the only playable unit to originate from Xenoblade 1 to show up, with no sign of Shulk or Melia or anybody else. Because of this, I get the impression that FIORA has become one of the original's more iconic characters as a result, due to Monolith Soft's enthusiasm of including her in other media that isn't just Smash. Now, as for FIORA's moveset, I've come across a bit of a dilemma. This is because on the one hand, her standard appearance as a Homs might not make for an interesting moveset, as she only really wields dual knives, but on the other hand, using her Mechon form will be considered a huge spoiler for anybody that hasn't played Xenoblade yet, but would also give her more potential for a diverse move pool due to her newfound abilities in this form. While her Mechon form does appear in Shulk's final Smash, I think we can all agree there's a bit of a difference from seeing her like this briefly compared to fully controlling her in this form, so let me know what you would prefer to see if this were to happen. Perhaps Rein or Sharla replaces her while she's in the same battle as Shulk, giving her the Toon Lake Alfonso effect. And as for FIORA's own final Smash, I think it would be cool to see her jump into the face Nemesis Mechon armor to deal some devastating damage. The other most popular choice for a Xenoblade representative besides Rex and Pyra has got to be Elma from Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U, and personally, I think she's the other most likely choice besides Rex. This is because I feel that there is a suspicious lack of content related to X, besides a few spirits, as there's no music from said game whatsoever. I find this particularly strange because Uncontrollable, for example, is a fan favourite track across the Xenoblade community in general, and I'm really surprised at its absence because it would really fit the tone of a Smash battle. Elma has been a popular choice to represent X, and it's not hard to see why. Wielding dual swords and appearing as another rare blade in Xenoblade 2's DLC, she's pretty much considered the face of the 2015 Wii U title. I know I've stated in a previous video that X isn't exactly my favourite in the series, but I don't think it deserves to be forgotten about, as I can recognise what it does right, and I can see why it's still considered a favourite for some of those within the Xenoblade community, and I'd more than welcome Elma with open arms. Speaking of Xenoblade X, there's another character from that game that I could also picture happening. Being the only time in a Xenoblade series where you name the protagonist and choose their physical appearance at the start, the defaultly named Cross could potentially be included as a way of surprising those expecting Elma. Seeing as Elma's the obvious choice for X representation, I think including Cross would be a good way of subverting our expectations for a couple of reasons. Firstly, Cross is a character that is also a customizable avatar, a type of character which Sakurai seems to be quite fond of, due to the inclusions of Villager, Mies, Robin and Corrin, who all fit under this category as well. Cross could very well be Xenoblade's equivalent of Robin, who is not only customizable in their origin game, but also got in before Chrom, the other main protagonist of Fire Emblem Awakening, who fans were initially expecting leading up to Smash 4's release, only for Robin to be added instead. It's because of this that I could very well see an outcome where Cross gets chosen to represent X instead of Elma, essentially having the same impact that Robin had back in the day. Additionally, Cross has access to more weapons and abilities compared to Elma, due to having access to more classes, meaning that there's much more room to create a versatile moveset that represents what X has to offer much more broadly, as Cross can already learn some of the abilities from the classes that are available to Elma anyway. On the other hand, I can see why Elma is more of a fan favourite choice, as I don't really hear that many requests for Cross in the grand scheme of things. Personally, I think it comes down to customizable avatars often being silent protagonists that the player immerses themselves into, rather than being a character with a distinctively established personality like everybody else around them. This is a criticism that has also been aimed at the likes of Astral Chain and Dragon Quest IX, as some are likely to feel that the main characters themselves are the least interesting ones as a result, hence why the likes of Elma are preferred to be included instead. For my last slot, I've gone for another choice from Xenoblade 2, making each game in the series have 2 represented slots each, and since I've already talked about Rex and Pyra so many times at this point, let's shine the spotlight elsewhere in the world of All Rest. Due to Xenoblade 2 being one of my favourite Switch titles as a whole, there's a lot of characters that I would love to see in Smash, such as the other Aegis, Malos, for a more villain representation, or my personal favourite character from the game, Zeke, and his trusty blade Pandoria, for some electrifying results, but ultimately, I've gone with the characters that I think make the most sense besides Rex and Pyra themselves. A year after the release of Xenoblade 2, we saw a new story named Torna the Golden Country, released as part of the Expansion Pass DLC, which took place 500 years prior to the events of the main game. The stars of the show this time round were Jin, who played an antagonistic role in the base game, and his driver Laura, who appeared in flashbacks, and it is exactly these two that I had in mind. In TORNA the Golden Country, you would switch control between both driver and blade to execute attacks and combos, rather than just switching between blades that power your driver up, the latter of which stays in control the entire time in the base game. I think this new mechanic alone set TORNA apart from Xeno 2, and it would be really cool to see replicated in Smash, going down a Pokemon Trainer or pre-Smash 4 Zelda and Sheik route. On top of that, I think these two check a lot of boxes that the Smash fanbase have wanted to see being ticked. Besides being another Xenoblade slot like the rest of the choices in this video, Laura is another female representative, as well as a whip user that is a bit different to Simon and Richter's style, and Jin's eventual fate as an antagonist means we get another villain, which fans always want more of in Smash. Furthermore, Jin utilises attacks with ice properties, something else that I've noticed a bit of a demand for, as some fans have expressed that they feel as if the Ice Climbers are alone in this department, suggesting characters such as Sub-Zero from the Mortal Kombat series as an example. I also can't go without talking about the other member of Team Laura, known as Haze. I don't know if adding Haze to form a trio would make this a complicated moveset for Smash standards, but at the same time, not including her would make the overall tribute to TORNA the Golden Country feel as if it could be missing something, as she's just as much a part of the team as Jin is. 3 characters in 1 has also been done before, so maybe it wouldn't ultimately be that much of a stretch anyway, but we'll have to see if this ever becomes a reality in the first place. If in the circumstance that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 does see playable representation that isn't in the form of Rex and Pyra, then personally, I think Laura and Jin would be the next best choices to fulfill this role, which is why I'm at a point where I don't mind which out of the 2 pairs get in if it were to happen. Anyway, those were my choices for a Xenoblade only Fighters Pass. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Let me know which 6 characters you would choose if you were to create your own Xenoblade only Fighters Pass. Feel free to include characters from the rest of the Xeno series too if you feel like it. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, see you later.